In this video, I'm going to be explaining how I edit this particular motion graphics video. So obviously it's not going to be a step by step, because I already edited the video, and due to storage issue, and it took me 5 to 6 days, so there's no way I could screen record the process. But I'm going to be walking through my timeline and show you how I did it and the reason for each of my steps. Okay guys, so this is my timeline now. So for this first text, I made this one with the transform. I go to the transform tab, then I just animate the text to slide up. Okay, so I just animate the text to slide up over here. As you can see, I just animate it to slide up, because if I use the normal text animation, I know we have Apple text animation, we can do that on Alight Motion, but if we apply this gradient, it's going to distort and we are not going to see anything. So that's why I had to do it manually for this text animation here. So once I did it manually for a slide up text like this, then I add gradient colors. I believe everyone knows how to do that. I add this, just come to this color and fill, then you can play around, you can change the color to anything you want. You can see, and change the color to anything you want. Two colors. So that's how I achieved this gradient color and the slide up. So what I did was just to duplicate the text, then I changed the second text to just be black. That's how I achieved this. Then after this, you can see that this one bounced in. So what I did here, I think it was the scale up I used. I went to the scale settings and play around with it. Yeah, as you can see, this is the scale up. You can see. So I think the first keyframe is a bit bigger than the second one. So I add a bounce graph, something like this. Not actually a bounce though, something like this. So if you notice, you're going to see that it has this blur in something. You understand? It blurs in. So what I did was just to come to this place, I had a Gaussian blur, then I had a keyframe. So as it's coming inside, I make it blur out. I reduce the blur as it's coming. So as it was about to leave the scene, I also make it to blur out, as you can see. So this middle side is just the place that does not have the blur effect. You understand? Then for this word that bouncing after this any, you can notice it also blurs in. So what I did was just to copy this text, the audio. I duplicated the text, then I just layer it on top, so it has the same settings, so I don't have to do it 2 times. So for this word that slides in, I just add nulls. I use nulls to control the movement. Then I attach this language, the word language. I pair it to the null, so I animate the null to move. I also pair this any to the null. So nulls are used to animate multiple layers. It could be shape, it could be text, it could be anything you have on your timeline. You can use nulls to move them together. Null is invisible, you can only see the movement. You understand? So I use the null layer to move it to the right. That's what I did. So for this, all this while, it was null I used to make the movement smooth. As you can see null 1 or 2 on my screen. So you can see from here, while the turn books, you can see it's going inside, right? So I use null. So right from the start, the null is already moving in. It's just like a bus is moving on the road now. It's going on a linear motion. Then, or let me just say a magnet is moving on a straight line. Then ion particles just attached to it. You understand? You get the scope of what I'm trying to say. So that's what I just did here. The null is already moving, as you can see the keyframe from the start. So this one, they just like follow the movement. Then I cut at where I want. Then I use another null to bring this one in. So you can just use nulls to make your movement smooth. That's basically what I did around here. So now after I achieved this any language, you can see that I have a split between here. So I'm so sorry guys, there's a folder between these two which splits the two texts. It was like the the folder splitted the text into two, you understand, as if it splits the sentence. But the thing is, I don't know, I just it just got deleted from my storage, you understand. So you can see any language, then it splits. You can see that the any language is now black, while the instantly is now the one colored, as if the gradients interchange from left to right. You can see. So what I just did there is I make it look like a match quotes. So I have any language like these two texts now. I did them separate. Any language is here on the left and instantly on the right. So I use this keyframe graph. Let me show you. Okay, I think is nulls are used for this. Yeah, so I use the null layer to move it. I attach the text, any language, I attach it to a null layer, then I move it like this. You see that? So before that, I make sure that I align it to be at the same position. You have to, like, you can make use of your grid here. Just come here and enable your grid. Yes, to make it like aligned and centered. So just use your grid. Your eyes is not that straight. So I just make sure I center is there, and I use the null to move it to the left. So I also did the same for instantly. This is instantly. You can see that too. You can see that. So I also make it to go to the right. Then I use this same keyframe graph. You understand? So it's just like an illusion. So I basically made a cut, just a sharp cut. You understand? So you can see that immediately these two texts, immediately they just part ways. I cut this any language, this one, this existing one. You can see that I already cut it. Look at it over here. You can see it. I cut this any language. You can see that. Then for this two to enter, for this any language instantly, for this two, for them to like come in and blend in, you get. So that's what I did. Then for this one that just this one that got deleted, this folder icon. So the next thing, this hand icon just came in to grab the folder. It came in to grab the folder. I don't know if you can observe the click. Like it just come in, grab the folder, then it's take it up, then drop it into this portal, or let me say an interface. So I don't know if you must have seen this particular video, so you should know what I mean. And if you've not checked out this my recent video on top 7 effects or top 7 tricks on Alight Motion, you should go and check it out. I explain how you can do this grab and drop, this drag and drop animation I did here, exactly something like this. So if you go and check it out, then you can understand. So I won't be explaining that here. So for this one, for this portal that just slide in and go out, let's go to the timeline and so I can explain it. So what I just did is this triangle, this rounded rectangle you are seeing over here, this is the main shape. This is the main shape. As you can see, it drops down. It drops down. So I just design it. I add all this round edge, this stroke around the edge. I add it. You can see on the screen here, on the left hand side of this shape, we have tools and resources. We have help. So I designed all those. They are among these layers over here. I don't know which one is which one, and I don't want to start opening everything. So I just designed them. I attach them. I pair them to this. I pair them to this triangle. This rounded rectangle that you are seeing. So I pair them to it. Let me show you what I mean by to pair. let's say I want to pair this this a particular shape. I'll just click on it. I'll just click on it. So as you can see now, this one is already paired. If you look at this icon over here, this icon over here, this icon over here, so if it shows this line, it means it has been linked to something. You understand? So any movement the stuffs I link it to, any movement it take, let's say that this rounded rectangle now, if it goes up, it's going to follow it. You understand? So that is the essence of this linked, without you grouping or adding to nulls. So I love to use this feature a lot, instead of just grouping or adding to null. It's very, very seamless. Okay, so for this thing that look like ripple, what I did was just basically I just used the scale setting. You can see that it's scale out, right? You can see that it's scale out. Then I add shadows for it to be realistic. I come to this shadow, I add shadow, I add shadow, I change the color of the shadow to something like blue. You understand? Then I duplicate it so that before one is going to complete, another one is coming out. So that is what gave me this ripple of a thing. And note, I attached everything you are seeing here to this main rounded rectangle. So this is my main should I say subject, or my main layer on the screen. So as soon as it's coming and going, they're also following it. So with that said, let's move to the next scene. So this is the same text animation, and I think I've already explained how you can achieve this. Anytime you want to play with gradients on text and you want to make it have that Apple aesthetic vibe, don't bother using transform, don't bother using the text transform, just animate it manually, because if you don't animate manually, it's going to distort. So that's how I did this one. Same method applies to this one as well. Then these mobile phones appear. So this is simple. I just get a phone mockup, then I attach screenshots. I went to their website and I screenshot all this page, so I attach it to a phone mockup. So this is what I mean by the phone mockup. Let me open a group. So this is what is contained in the group, as you can see. So I just get this phone mockup, then I attach the screenshots. So that is just it, and I duplicated it into 3 more copies. Then I attach different screenshots for each of the mockup. And as you can see, I did not layer them to start at the same time. So you can see they are not starting at the same time. You get that? So I also use a null to control the movements. As you can see here. So I think they have been attached to the null. So you can see I attached every of the mockups to the null layer to control the movements. Even this just drop and go, if you notice, it follows the movement of the phone mockups. Just drop and go. You can see that it's go inward. So that is to tell you that I also merge it to the null layer. Then in one place, this text animation has been explained. So for this twist, it was kind of tough here. You can notice that the phone, they kind of rotates at this point, but I only kept one on the screen, right? So what I did there was I attached this one that stayed. I attached it to a separate node. You understand? That is, I had to isolate it from the other groups of phone mockups. If you attach groups of layers to a node, you can animate each one of them, but I wasn't getting the result I want. So I just had to split this phone mockup. Then I add it as a separate layer above on this place. So what I now did was I just animate the null. I rotated the null. So as I was about to complete the rotation, I already cut it and I fade out the original layers. So I now have something like this. That was how I get this one. If you notice, I had a cut here, but because it was fast, you won't get the scope. If you can see. So I had a nut to push it backward. Then this line you are seeing came out. This line you are seeing came out. And okay, before I get here, you can notice I'm getting all this fade something as if it's coming out, as if you have all this fade something. So this is just a shape layer. I don't know if you can see it. It's just a shape. So I went to the opacity to make it fade in, as you can see. So it's fade in, and for it to have that something that look like a blend, for it to blend with the layers on screen, I just come to this wipe. Then I play around the fader. I play around the fader edge and the starts. Or no, I use the end, not the starts. I use the end value and the fader. You can just copy these settings if you want to achieve the same results. I just copy these settings. So I add it and I moved it towards the left. So let me just move it out so you can see. You can see it's right. You can see that as I remove it now, it's exposing this phone, right? It's exposing the phone mockup. Let me just undo it. So now you can see how it makes it look professional. Now let's move to the second step. So to achieve this line coming at the back of the phone, so what I did to this guy over here is I used a shape. So I draw it. Actually, I use vector drawing. You get? I use vector drawing. So let me show you how I did that. Just go to your vector drawing and start sniping. Let me go to this edit point so you can see how I did it. So just come here. So I don't think it's hard. Just know how to draw. Then if you want to get this curve shape, you can come here. If you want to get this curved shape, now anywhere you see something like this, you see this thing that have this two edge, it means I achieved a curved shape by coming to this. I don't know if I undo it now. Now you can see how I originally achieved it. This is the original shape, but because I want to get that curve shape like the one on the opposite side over here, so I'll just tap on the particular joints. You can use this thing to control to get the joint you want. So once I'm here, you just tap on this place. Tap on this place. Now you can see that I'm left with these 2 points. So with these 2 points, I can now play around. To get what I want. I can just come here. I can be rotating it. I'm using this swipe to move the points. You can see that the more I'm making it to be shorter, the more the curve, the radius is going to be very, very short or wide. I don't know, but you get the scope. You can see that if I tap on this one, I'm going to move in the other side. So you can just play around to achieve that. It's not really hard in vector drawing. So I believe you know how to do this counting numbers animation. So that is really simple. So I just made it appear on screen after this one is already coming. Then yeah, once it gets to this point, so what I did here was I tried to fake it as if it's completed and it's like it's just come from the end, from the starting point. and it comes to join the starting point. So I couldn't achieve that, but I just used a shape, a rounded rectangle of the same size. So I just come here, for this edit shape. I went to the edit shape section, then I animated the size. It started from here, so I animated to like come closer like this. I had one at the back, that one was circular, you understand? So I play around the scale of that particular one. This one is the one at the front, so that's this colored one was at the back, so this is at the front, you get. Then for that same vector drawing, you can use it to achieve this tick icon, this mark icon I have seen. You can use that vector drawing tool, just draw something like this, then use drawing progress to animate. That was how I achieved that. Then this thing that look like I forget what I call it, I think is just like something like celebration, something like that. Just search it on Pinterest, then you can get something like this. Then you just remove the background, or you use chroma key if it's on a green screen or whatever color it is, then you can get something like this. I don't know, I think it's celebration burst or something like that. So now for the next scene, you can see that this particular shape here, as soon as all this balloon of a thing, as they fade away, the sign fade and it's transitioned into a mangazi, into this card, you understand? So what I did yet was a bit technical. I had something that have like this exact shape, it was at the back, you understand? So I already grouped the image, like the video of a mangazi and all the text and everything, it has been grouped into this. So I now made this one to be at the front, you understand? So as soon as this one fade out, I also made this one too to fade out. The shape, I made the shape to fade out, which is going to be revealing the video of a mangazi at the back and the text and all the stuff I have in the card, you understand? Let me open the layer and show you what I mean. So you can see this is the group here. Let me edit, open the group and show you. So now you can see this is the group. So in the group, I still have another group. Let me open it. This one over here, this group are masked, because this video, it was kind of, I think, rectangular or vertical, something like that. So I have to mask it. So let me open it and show you. You can see that. So now we have this. This is what I have at the back of the rounded rectangle. So I have to make it to fade for it to reveal what was inside. After it comes in, you can notice that I have another card sliding in. Then it pushes it aside. So I just duplicate this mangazi card into two more. Then I edit the details inside. Then I used a null to control the movement. I make sure I attach them to the same null, so the null keeps them like it keeps the movement linear. So after that, I just add it grouped together again. I use null to control the movement all this while over here. Sorry, my phone is just hanging at this point due to the number of layers I have in this project. So after I slide to the left, you can notice that I made something come up like the interface or dashboard of an app. Then it was sitting on it. So for me to achieve this, I make sure I attach these first four lines. This one you are seeing up, Imangazi, me, and Omozi, and the fourth one. So I attach them, I grouped them together with this dashboard of a thing. So this is the group over here. Let me open the group so I can show you what is inside. So I make sure I attach it inside with this. So this is what I have. So this is what I have in the group. So I just position it in a way that is going to look as if the first four cards are being placed into it. You understand? So I just position it very well. All right. So you might ask that why did I just group them together when I can just use a null layer to pair them? So the reason is that with null layer I want to be able to use so special effects that is going to affect everything. Like if you notice, I flipped the layer, I make it to bend somehow, so I can achieve that using the flip layer when I use groups, not on nulls. You understand? So that is why I did that. And for this part where the hand icon came to grab this specific card, so because it is grouped, I duplicated it. Then on the one I duplicate, or let me just put it this way, I made this specific card, I just place it on the layer. You understand? I make it to be the same size, to fit the same size, so when the click happened, the hand just like it followed it. If you still don't know how to do this drag and drop animation of this hand icon, so I'll just advise to check the video out. I made a video on it, or I'll just drop a link in the description where you can check it out. So I made it look as if the hand icon pulled the card out of the scene, out of the dashboard. So I achieved that by using this rectangle over here. I just fade it in and I placed it on top of the layer. So it's a white shape. I just made it to fade in. Then that was how I achieved this. Then I made this card to flip, and in between the flip, when it was about to complete, I duplicated it into four parts. So I have something like this, as you can see on your screen. So I place them to be 90 degrees where you cannot see them. You understand? So this was the starting point. So I now add keyframes, then I adjust their positions, I adjust the rotations. Let me show you what I mean over here. As you can see, there are keyframes lined up on all these layers. You understand? So I did it manually for all the whole four cards. You understand? So the angles, the positions of all the four cards, I did them manually. They are not the same. So you can see on your screen. So I made it immediately that the single card flipped as it was about to complete. It looked as if it explodes into four cards. So I added the text here. I don't know why I can't find the text here. I added the text in between. Well, let's move on. So after that, okay, yeah, this is the text, multiple languages. You can just put that. It was also done manually, the multiple language, because it has a gradient. I made the four cards spread out and also spread in. So when it was about to complete the spread in, as if it joins together. So sorry guys, I think I deleted the dashboard screenshot as well. No wonder I can't find it over here. So it's just like it's a match cut. You understand? So it was about to complete the rotation, and I also made the dashboard as well to rotate, but we can only see the beginning of the four cards. You understand? But we do not see the ending, and we cannot see the beginning of the dashboard, but we can see the ending of the dashboard. So it's just like you cut the beginning of the dashboard and you cut the ending of the four cards. You understand? So you place it together, you layer them on top of themselves. They are both starting at the same time, ending at the same time. You understand? But we can't see one at the beginning and we cannot see another as it's going to end. So that is just the psychology behind that match cut. So then this hand icon just came from nowhere and grab a specific card. I've deleted all this stuff. So sorry guys. So for this ending parts, I just made this hand icon to slide and come out. Then immediately it clicks, it glows colored. So what I did was that I had, if you come down here, you can see this shape is behind it, right? This shape is under this layer. The one on top is the colored one, you understand? So I just time it. I treat the layer in such a way that after the click has already happened, the one I layer on top should be the one to show. So I cut the black layer away. So we have this kind of colored stuff after the click. So I zoom it in and have this shape to zoom out with it. You can see this. I just zoom it out, and this is what push it in. So you can do that with null layer. Even though you don't use null, you can just pair the rectangle to this star shape. Then you can play around with your gradients to achieve these colors. So immediately this one zoom in, I make it fall to the right. I use null to achieve this as well. So I now made it look as if it's falling from the sky again, like what I did here. So it's just timing. I make sure that immediately it fall off from that place. I animate it coming from up like this, as you can see. So I add this text already here. So what I just did here is timing. You understand? So immediately it's coming down, I made the text visible. Then it goes up again. Then the second text, I make it visible again as it slides in. Then it comes down, and you can see that the size has been reduced at this point. The size was reduced. So after that, I made this whole text and all to slide. Then distribute comes in. You can see that the slide is very subtle. I use null to move them, but it's not harsh. You understand? So the next thing was a match cut to the logo of the website. It was a match cut. So I just made this thing to slide. You can see that it did not slide in finish before I cut it. So that's what we call a match cut. So you can see, the viewer, they are going to like, the movement is very, very acceptable and it's smooth. You understand? So this one comes in, then trademark, and I think that's all. So the match cuts, the logo, and that's all. Alright guys, so let me know if you find this video really helpful, and if you have any question, you can just drop it in the comments. I will do well to answer you. Don't forget to check out my other videos and check the description. If I have any special video, I'm going to link it there for you guys. So I'll see you in the next one.